What you primarily get from outside is pleasures. Pleasures are not happiness. Or even if you want to call it happiness, they are fleeting happinesses, fleeting pleasures. So choice is yours, as I said, whether you want that long-lasting happiness or fleeting pleasures. सदा के लिए सुख चाहिए या 2 मिनट का सुख चाहिए. As simple as that. But we get lost very easily, get attracted by small, we are sidetracked, digressed for small things here and there. And sometimes we get so lost that we go for small things and we get stuck there. You get stuck there. थोड़ा कुछ आनंद लेके वापस आ जाऊंगा. Not easy. I'll enjoy a little bit and then come back and try to spend more time getting that long-lasting happiness. We can say that, but it's not easy because of the environment, because of the people with whom you work. You see, we are primarily working with people with afflictive emotions. Whether you like to hear this word or not, I don't know. But we are primarily living in a world where people primarily engage in afflictive emotions. If you don't believe me, watch a movie. Watch any movie. Made in India, made in America, wherever. The two primary factors for us for so-called enjoying life is either violence or sex. Watch any movie, most of the movie. If these two are there, fighting and sex, wow, kitna acha hai movie. Because it is active. If these are not there, then say, बहुत slow है movie. मुझे तो नींद आ गया. बोलता है ना? I fell into sleep. कुछ नहीं बोलते. क्या होना चाहिए आपको? कुछ होने का मतलब क्या होना चाहिए? If violence and sex, scenes related to this are there, then movie is colorful. Your life also looks colorful when you engage in these things. Even with these things, if you look at love and hatred, or love and fighting, we are living in a very strange world. Can you express your love openly to somebody? Maybe your father and mother, maybe, but not to your boyfriend or girlfriend, right? At least in India still there is some taboo. In the West, they express it openly. Again here, see, love, affection we cannot express openly, fighting we express openly. Look at the paradox. दूसरों को मारना लड़ना openly कर रहा है ना, नहीं लाठी लेकर के बंदूक लेकर के, in the name of religion, in the name of this and that, people engage in violence without any hesitation. Love में क्या है? छुप छुप के करना पड़ता है. I mean, these are all like worldly phenomena, stupid things. है ना? So what I'm really trying to say is, we have the animal instinct because our origin is from animals. Animals primarily engage in sex and violence, fight and flight response, as we say in science. है ना? So now we are supposed to be, even if you want to call yourself animal, but you are highly developed animal now. As I said the other day, you have very sophisticated language and thinking power. So therefore it is really important to use these 2 or 3 features, special features that human beings have. Obtaining enlightenment, nirvana, postpone it for a time being. Pehle admi bano. First become a human being. You will say, kya bol raha hai? Bakwas kar raha hai. Admi to hai hi hai. People might say, what stupid this monk is saying. I'm already a human being. No. You look like a human being. But human being means What do you mean by the word human in English? Tell me.
Soil.
Huh?
Human comes from the word human, soil.
Huh?
Mitti, soil.
Human. Really?
The word human comes from that, and being comes from more than soil.
Anyway, that also makes sense. But I was also told the word human also has the connotation of having some value. है ना, some value होना चाहिए. Then also if you look at this Hindi word purush, purush matlab somebody who has capacity. Capacity not for destruction, but capacity for doing good things, constructive things. So therefore it's important that we become a genuine human being. Right? So the choice is yours. If you don't cultivate these fundamental good human values, like loving kindness, compassion, patience, more importantly wisdom, if you don't cultivate this, I don't care whether you get all the best degree in the world. डिग्री लेना पड़ता है, क्या करूं, पपी पेट का सवाल है ना. We need to get a degree, of course. I'm not saying don't get degree, but that is far from enough. बुद्धा के पास कौन सा डिग्री था? PhD है उनके पास. दलाई लामा जी के पास तो at least Geshe degree है उनके पास. And many of these really highly enlightened beings, they don't have a degree. कृष्ण मूर्ति के पास डिग्री है, कौन सा डिग्री है? Mahatma Gandhi, I don't know, he did barrister or things like that, some degree. But what I'm saying is, I'm not against your getting all these recognitions and degrees, piece of paper. I'm not against that. But what I'm saying is, these are just for conventional purposes, for livelihood. But there's no guarantee you will become a good human being. I visited many universities, many schools, where it's shocking to see people don't even know the basic protocols, how to politely, connect to each other. So especially in India, India has such a rich tradition. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama is always encouraging people. And in fact, this is one of his commitment, revival of ancient Indian tradition. You went to see His Holiness with great faith. I also heard many of you cried or wept or something, right? Is this true? Hua nahi hua? Hua hai na? That is good, but there's not enough. Follow his teaching. By that also I'm not saying become a Buddhist. Again you have environmental, compulsion, so I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is follow some of his universal ideas. Revival of ancient Indian tradition. I'm not even using the word revival of ancient Tibetan tradition. वो भी नहीं बोल रहा मैं. Revival of ancient Indian tradition means not reviving those not so useful rituals and customs. वो नहीं बोल रहा है. Especially you are very highly educated, smart young people. You should also know what values, cultures you should preserve and what should not. Because these are at the end of the day, these are all made by human beings. So all this, pujas, cultures, Tibetans also do so much, It's okay. It's okay. I'm not against that. But this is far from enough. What is really important is that we become sensible, good human beings, brave human beings, compassionate and also strong. Compassion के साथ साथ क्या होना चाहिए? दिमाग, दिल और दिमाग का संतुलन. If you have only talk about love and compassion, don't use your khopri, don't use your brain, then you will be easily cheated in today's world. People will take advantage of you. You become a doormat. पाँव पहुँचने के लिए रखेगा नीचे तुमको. ठीक है ना? Become strong. And there are many reasons to become strong. If you have love, if you have compassion, if you do all the right things, why the hell you should be scared of anybody? Strength and confidence will automatically come. है ना? So this is really important. And we, the Tibetans, also have a responsibility to help you because Indian tradition is basically a Tibetan tradition. Buddhism came from India, things like that, right? So together we should really, make some long-term strategy to change this country. It's hugely populated with a very good, culture and civilization. And believe me, I have traveled over 30, 40 countries. Some of these countries I visited maybe 20 times. Like America, I visited maybe 20 times. But I did not stay there. I'm okay where I'm, right? So now, one thing that you should really be proud of, not in a negative sense, is to be an Indian. Why? Not because you have special physical feature and things like that, but because you have this amazing civilization, amazing culture of love and affection. पुराने ज़माने में है, अभी कितना है पता नहीं मुझे, है ना? And then also in terms of, there are two things we need, people. People should be intelligent. Indian people are very intelligent. For a development of country, two things need, from my purview. One, intelligence you have. Second, natural resources also you have. फिर क्या हो रहा है? फिर इतना तरक्की क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? Why then we are not making development? We are making development, but not to the extent it should be, because morality कम है. I should not say नहीं है. Morality कम है, especially आपके पास तो morality हो या नहीं हो, ज़्यादा अभी फर्क पड़ने वाला नहीं है, because you are not a leader. The leaders who use public money, who make decisions, if they don't have this genuine love and compassion for their people, then year after year, you have so many villages don't even have a school, don't even have water to drink, don't even have a proper road. Abhi bhi hai na? See? I'm not criticizing any one individual, but I'm talking in general. When the Indian government decided to start this human resources department, I was actually very happy. I said, this is the right thing. But कितना इसका असर क्या हुआ मुझे पता नहीं है ना? Then especially also some ideas came of adopting some village. Also, I also like that. But फिर हुआ क्या मुझे पता नहीं. So what I'm really trying to say is, we are not blaming anybody. What I'm saying is, it is our responsibility to make this country great, not just for this country, but to help many other countries. India, because of its size and population and culture, you can help. So it is not far from enough to just keep on, importing Western culture, Western thinking, Western ideas. है ना? बिजनेस में एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट होता है ना? इंपोर्ट तो हम लोग बहुत कर रहे हैं. And most of the things that you import are not necessarily very useful in the long run. Export क्या हो रहा है आपका? Export your culture, you have such a rich culture. Share that to make this country more peaceful, more happy, more harmonious. So there are so many things we can do. है ना? So therefore it's not enough to blame anybody. All of us should play a role. Right? That's why we are studying texts like this. We study such texts so that you are able to really develop a peaceful, happy, meaningful life, and also contribute to other people's well-being as much as possible. ऐसे हम लोग हवा में थोड़ी बात कर रहे हैं. पोती पर जगमुआ पंडित हुआ नहीं कोई, डेढ़ अक्षर प्रेम का परे तो पंडित हुई, बोला है ना? कहीं है ना? ये कहाँ से? कबीरदास है ना? कबीर, one of my favorite saint. हाँ, पोती पर जग हुआ, जगमुआ सब मर गया, पोती पर के. पंडित हुआ ना कोई, डिग्री ले करके भी पंडित हुआ ना कोई. But if you have one thing, that's why in one of the sutra, the Buddha said, if you have one quality in the palm of your hand, you have all the qualities. What is that quality? Great compassion. Compassion means wishing that all other beings are without suffering. If you have this one quality, can you then exploit other people? Can you then torture other people? Can you then look down upon other people? Can you then rape other people? All those bad things will automatically cease. So this shows, out of all the good things that we are talking about, we don't have even one quality properly. है ना? Right? So therefore, in all my talks and teachings, I always expect that the talk and teaching should be productive. It should change people's life a little bit. Little bit. That's मेरा मकसद है ये, है ना? है ना? It's very important, very, very important. These things are not taught in school or universities. Hardly. है ना? ठीक है? So, choice is yours. There's nobody who will catch hold of your hand and throw you into heaven. Even the Buddha cannot do this. Similarly, there's nobody, even your enemy, there's nobody who will catch hold of your leg and drag you into hell. Your happiness and your suffering is in your hand. For example, with food also. There should be contentment. Eat a little bit less, not too much. Especially junk food. I'm saying this because these are, you know this, but we are not practicing. फिर बीमार हो जाता है. Choice is yours. That's why I'm saying choice is yours. So can you change your food habit a little bit? Is there a need to change your food habit a little bit? I'm sure, 100% sure. एक और से you are educated, एक और से अभी भी तुम बच्चा है ना? And the environment is such that people are like compelled to do all these things that others are doing. Others are doing, you don't have to do what others are doing. If the rest of the people are jumping from 9th floor and committing suicide, will you do that also? फिर एक ही बात तो है ये, this is same, है ना? है ना? So थोड़ा change करो food. I don't know what changes you need. You know, to change that, first you see whether your health is really perfectly good or not. Perfect तो हो ही नहीं सकता. Relatively good or not. Any problem you have or not. If you have, there are solutions still. Especially now you are young, you can solve that. When you grow very old, then very difficult. So right now you should stop drinking those things, eating those things, and then take good rest whenever it is necessary. Enough. Remain clean, all those things. You will be happy. There's no reason why you should not be happy. Enough. These are things, small things you need to do. Change it. Then your parents and others, people who organize Gurukul, they will also be happy. कुछ तो हुआ है. धर्मशाला में जाके कुछ तो हुआ है. नहीं तो क्या फायदा, फिर कहीं भी घूम सकता है. तो धर्मशाला में आके ऐसे बैठ के क्या करेगा फिर? उधर पर्वत पर जाओ, देखो, गाना गाओ, सेल्फी लगाओ जी करके. For temporary pleasure, there are so many things to do, and you are intelligent. You know what you are doing, so that's why you are, which is very good thing. Now we have to practice it. So it is for such purposes that we are reading this kind of very, very precious text. And this text, as I said earlier, is really like a juice, a ras. जितना भी teachings the Buddha had given, उधर से रस निकल के इसमें रखा हुआ है. क्योंकि the teaching he is giving is to the king, who is very busy, important, not, I don't know, but it's given to a king who is very busy. He has no time to read everything. And similarly, you are not a king, but you also don't have time. And the problem is we have time for everything, but we don't have time for good things. बाकी सब के लिए टाइम है, good things के लिए टाइम नहीं है. This is our mental tendency. Our mental tendency. है ना? If you are asked to do meditation, then you will do it once in a while and then say, oh, next time I come to Dharamsala, I'll do meditation. बीच में तो कुछ करना ही नहीं मैंने. I don't want to do anything in between. In between, what do you want to do? You want to carry the same stupid life, chasing each other, running after each other, then ha, he, who. You know? So that's why His Holiness, in a way desperation, in a way very sound advice, he said 50-50. 50-50 means 50% for this life, 50% for the future life. In other words, if you don't believe in future life, in other words, 50% for immediate pleasures, 50% for a little bit long-term happiness. And here you need a little bit integrity. How good you are just staying alone and doing your study, how good, you are all very good. ऐसा तो नहीं है ना, दोस्ती के साथ नहीं जाने से टाइम पास नहीं हो रहा, ऐसा तो नहीं है ना कोई है. Anybody who is not able to live alone and always has to be surrounded by friends, नहीं है ना, which is good. In many so-called developed countries, ये बीमार है उनके पास. Therefore, during COVID time, right, many people commit suicide. Because before the COVID, people were just mixing, socializing, lunch be outside, dinner also outside, things like that. And suddenly after COVID, when you are asked to stay inside, you don't know how to stay. That's the problem. As I said the other day, the problem is not knowing how to stay alone and also not knowing how to live with others. It's a big problem. So be happy with yourself. For example, I stay alone. I'm not just saying this in Hawa, I'm staying alone. And many people have asked me, Geshe, are you happy? Geshe, first they say, Geshe, do you live alone? I said, yes. Then the second question is, are you happy? I say, yes. You live alone, still happy? Yes. Don't you suffer from loneliness? मेरे पास loneliness के लिए समय है ही नहीं. I have no time for loneliness. ये सारा इतना मेरा दोस्त यहाँ बैठा है. My room is like another library. I'm very happy with all this greatest wisdom of the Buddha and all the great philosophers, thinkers like that. There is also not that I spend 24 hours looking like this. In between I do many other activities. So you can be completely, then you don't have to hear all these gossips, rumors, which disturbs your mind. So if you're a serious practitioner, it's important to spend time as much as possible in solitude. Solitude is different from loneliness. Not only Buddha and other Buddhist masters, even great thinkers like Einstein spend most of the time in solitude. Many of the scientists, they also spend time in solitude, thinking, exploring, analyzing, doing research. Okay. Then of course in between, we should be also enjoy small things and be happy. That's also important. Do some exercise. Exercise is very, very important. Do all those things. Okay. मैं बकवास कर रहा. So anyway, because I want to make something, say something which hopefully inspire you. So let us read the text. Verse number 13. Right? Rava? Yes. 13. The Muni means Buddha. Muni means one who is able to control. The controller. Muni means the controller. Sometimes we call it Gyalva, Jina. Jina means Jina. Jina or Muni. Jina means victor. Muni means one who is able to control. So in both the cases, you are victor because you gained victory over the negative emotions. You are also able to control the negative emotions. Therefore, he is termed as the Muni. The Muni, the Buddha declared mindfulness the way of. Now see, this is the problem of the translation. It's very not easy to translate things properly. Mindfulness ke liye there is another word. In Tibetan, mindfulness is called Temba. Temba Nyerhya. We have mindfulness, then we have conscientiousness or guarding alertness, then we have this one, which is, I don't know, because he uses this word mindfulness as well as heedlessness. If he uses the word heedlessness, he should use the word heedfulness. So at least temporarily this sounds better. The Muni declared heedfulness the way of immortality and heedlessness the way of death. So this word actually heedfulness, or some people use the word modesty. I don't know. But basically the meaning is you should be somebody who is cognizant of the destructiveness of negative emotions and cognizant of the constructiveness of positive emotions, who is heedful in that sense. So the Muni declared heedfulness is the way of immortality and heedlessness the way of death. Thus constantly practice heedfulness with respect in order to develop virtuous dharmas. Verse number 14 says, beautiful as the moon freed of clouds is the formerly heedless one, become heedful, akin to, similar to Nanda, Angulimala, Ajatashatru, Udayana. So what he is saying is, when he says heedfulness, the way of immortality. Immortality means if you are heedful and repeatedly practice the Dharma, then you will be liberated from the negative emotions. And in this way you achieve the state of immortality, the state of Buddhahood where there is no ordinary death. Okay? Heedfulness is the way of immortality. That's the meaning. Now, contrarily, if you have this heedlessness, then you will not achieve that state of immortality, the state of Buddhahood, but because of your heedlessness, there will be negative emotions. है ना, heedlessness करने से होता है ना. When you are heedless, then you say, enjoy life. खाओ पियो मौज करो मस्ती करो बोलते हैं ना हम लोग. Heedless. You are careless or heedless. आपको कोई परवाह नहीं, जब तक आप बीमार नहीं होगा तब तक परवाह नहीं. This is the stupid human way. Until you become sick, you are very brave. Until you suffer, you are very brave. You are very brave. You even go to fight a war and jump into the face of ballistic missiles. खुदकुशी करने जा रहा है, खुदकुशी करवाता है और करने जा रहा हम लोग. इतना पगलपन है हम लोगों के पास. So much madness is there. है ना, है कि नहीं? So similarly in our ordinary life also, fun masti, in the name of fun masti, for entertainment, things like that, you remain completely heedless, then keep on eating all kind of things, keep on doing all stupid things, later on you get problem. I don't have to explain this. ये रोज का मामला है. This is daily happening. I've seen it in the movies, in the news, young boys and girls celebrating something, going somewhere, then killed, you see. Then they fight there, then killed. अभी हुआ था ना, a girl was killed and also dragged on the road. 2-3 बार ऐसे हुआ था. है ना, because of you are going to the wrong place, because of you associating with the wrong people. So there are so many examples. I don't have to elaborate this one. So this is all due to carelessness. When we become monk, then the Guru will give you all the instructions. These are vows that you have to obtain. These are things you should not do. Then at the end, they will say, now you become a monk or a nun, so therefore be heedful. That's the parting advice. Be careful. Hai na? In our ordinary life also, we meet our friends, then we depart. Then at the time of depart, what do we say? Bye, take care, bolte hai na? Nahi bolte. Bye, I will take care of you. Koi nahi bolte. Nobody says, bye, I will take care of you. It is there, common sense. This is exactly what the Buddha taught. Bye, take care. And if you don't take care of yourself, even your best friends, parents, relatives, they cannot take care of you. Not because they don't have their love and affection, but because there's a limit that they can do. They can't enter into your brain and change your brain and do all the good things. Koi nahi kar sakta hai. Therefore the Buddha said, I've shown you the path to liberation. Liberation is up to you. And if from your side, if you develop that awareness, develop that heedfulness, make that initiative, you can easily shine out. Within a relatively short time, you can shine out. Achievement bhi bahut sara hoga aapko. And we are not achieving that because we are khoya se hum log baitha hai. And whatever we are doing is half-hearted attempt. फिर कुछ नहीं होता है वहाँ से, है ना? इसलिए तो बोलता है concentration. Concentration नहीं है, ठीक है ना? And because of this negative emotion, there will be continuous birth and death in the samsara. So therefore, heedlessness is the way of the death. Okay? Therefore, now he's asking the king, thus constantly practice heedfulness with respect in order to develop virtuous dharmas. Thus constantly practice heedfulness with respect. ये respect क्यों बोलता है यहाँ? So long as you don't have respect to these teachings, so long as you don't have respect to the teachers, you are not able to gain anything. है ना? Respect and veneration must be there. Liking must be there. Many people, they do some dharma practice, do a little bit effort, and then they ask me, Geshe, I plan to do this, I'm not achieving any success. Why? Then I tell them, because you are not doing that with happiness. You are not doing that with delight. Khushi se karne se, when whatever you do, if you do it with interest, delight, you have no idea how your time passes. And if you don't have that delight in whatever you are doing, फिर कुछ नहीं प्राप्त करने वाला और ज़्यादा नहीं प्राप्त करने वाला. You make 2 steps forward and 1 step back or 2 steps back. फिर आगे दो आगे फिर वहीं का वहीं बैठा हुआ है. ठीक है ना? So that's what he's saying. Thus, constantly practice mindfulness with respect in order to develop respect. Why should respect? I'm so lucky I met His Holiness Dalai Lama. I'm so lucky we are reading this text, Nagarjuna's Precious Garland, which is talking about so many of these good things. And if you internalize and develop some of these good qualities within you, फिर तो आपके पास खजाना ही खजाना है. Then you have all the treasures within yourself. Then your body, your mind, everything becomes so precious to you, to everybody. That's why His Holiness is so precious. He's also like you and me, ordinarily speaking, a human being. But we treasure Him so much, respect Him so much, not because he's distributing dollars. Dollar मिला आपको कर परसों जब गया था गुरुजी को देखने, कितना डॉलर मिला? नहीं मिला ना, रुपया भी नहीं मिला ना, मिला? कुछ नहीं मिला ना, फिर भी आप खुश क्यों हुए? Because at least there is somebody who is, speaking from the heart for your happiness. Therefore you feel happy, like you're being with your parents. So these inner qualities are so precious, and your being able to study such texts should be seen as a very important. Therefore, your visit to Dharamsala should be considered a very lucky visit. And if you don't, recognize that, फिर बस ऐसे ही चलेगा फिर जहाँ भी जाओ एक जैसा ऐसे लगेगा आपको, है ना? Therefore, you should have this, capacity to discriminate what is valuable, what is not valuable. है ना? ठीक है ना? Okay. So therefore, like when we see this in the Tibetan tradition, when we see these such texts, we put it on the head, respect. Indians also we have. But in the case of some people who have different background, I have seen them, they come to attend His Holiness teaching, and then there is a text distributed with His Holiness's photo or some other photos, and after a while they feel cold, then they put it, make it as their seat. I mean, I've seen so many people. So there's no respect. They're simply coming there to gain some new new idea. So don't go for new ideas. The whole world is truly living like that. The so-called scientists also, when they do something which others couldn't do, then they say, oh, nobody did it, only I did it. Again boosting your I. That's not very helpful. That's not very helpful, okay? So therefore regard these holy teachings and holy people as something sacred. Not everybody who says I'm holy, again, okay? Those who are genuinely good. Not only monks and others, people who are good, respect them. In our ordinary society also, people who are kind, who are good, respect them. Put them on the higher pedestal. Those who are negative, destructive, don't give them any platform. This is how you can change the society. Don't just give platform to the demagogues. This is important. This is what he's saying. So therefore you should be careful. Now if you do that, then next verse says, if you practice this carefulness, then even if you had been careless in the beginning or in the past, you can change, you can transform. The example is, beautiful as the moon, freed of clouds, is the formerly hidden as one, become mindful. This translation, I don't like this translation. I'm sorry to say this. But what it is saying is, even if you are somebody who has been heedless in the past, but later on you become heedful, then you will become like a moon freed of clouds. This is the explanation. Example is, for example, Nanda. Nanda was one of the Buddha's close relative, but he was full of attachment. Nanda. Then Angulimala. Angulimala, you heard Angulimala? Who made a very wrong teacher, who said you killed 1,000 people and chop off their finger and wear it on your neck like a rosary. Then because of these human sacrifices, you will achieve certain liberation. This is what I'm saying. Use our brain. You see? Because if you maintain this ignorance without judging, then such things happen, human sacrifices. We still have in our society so many wrong practices. Sati, for example. Are you against sati? Or Dori? Also, I don't think these are good. So there are many, wrong practices. Every society, we should discourage that. So Angulimala was a very bad person with a lot of, he was actually a murderer. And then Ajat Shadru, who killed his father. His father was, I think, Bimbisara, right? He killed his father. And then Udayan, who killed his mother. But later on, where they regretted it and remained hateful, and then they were able to achieve higher state. So that means any negative things that you do, if you purify it, regret it, you can improve, you can change. So don't sit there saying, I've committed a mistake, now I am incorrigible. ऐसा नहीं है, ठीक है ना? That's important. Now especially, next verse, verse number 15, especially is saying, especially in order to remove anger, hatefulness is extremely important. Especially. There is no austerity like patience, so do not give way to anger. By overcoming anger, the Buddha acknowledged, one attains the stage of non-returning. The best antidote for anger is patience. Now, first of all, we should see whether anger is good or bad. We discussed this a little bit earlier, right? Right? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. Patience. Without patience, you can't achieve anything. If you want something, and in order to achieve that, you don't do the work that needs to be done, but simply become restless, you know. मुझे ये चाहिए, गुलाब जामुन चाहिए, हाँ बोल के, हाँ, लॉलीपॉप चाहिए बोल करके, कुछ मिलने वाला नहीं, ठीक है ना? थोड़ा पेशेंस, थोड़ा धीरज रखो, धीरज. The benefit of remaining patient is when you are patient, your mind becomes calm. When your mind becomes calm, then you can analyze whether what you want is achievable or not achievable. If it is achievable, how should you achieve it? If you get restless, you know, you're not going to achieve anything, right? So patience is very important. Patience. Huh? There is no austerity like patience. No austerity. He is saying no austerity like patience. Meaning, in many religious systems and practices, in order to achieve something, you undergo a lot of hardships, a lot of austerity. For example, in order to torture your body, you use on 5 fires. That means you burn your 5 fingers, offer it as a lamp. You can see the extent of ignorance. Sacrifice it, you sacrifice it. You burn your fingers as a deep. Or you fast yourself unto death. Or you remain completely naked. This is from Buddhist viewpoint. Okay? This is not showing disrespect to anybody. They have their reasons. Like Jain may be here, Abhi be naked, you know? Digambar, Shwetambar, Pitambar, you know? So Digambars, I think they remain, Digambar means the directions of your cloth. So basically you remain naked, you know? Then Shwetambar. I used to know Sushil Muni Kumarji, you know, wearing white cloth, and then Pitambar, yellow cloth, things like that. So anyway, so this is not, you know, saying bad things to any other religion, but without doing the internal transformation, simply becoming naked and torturing your body is not the way. And then similarly, as we said, discussed earlier, sometimes, you know, if you approach somebody, then you fear approaching that sadhu or somebody, thinking that he will sharp dega, he will curse you, things like that. So these are clear indications of having no patience. So simply torturing your body is not practice of patience. There's no benefit. What you need is purify the negative emotions and thereby achieve liberation. And you need to undertake a practice of patience which will help you progress from one level to the another level. And in order to do that, you need to get rid of development of anger within your mind. Even if anger arises, make sure that you don't continue that. How many of you are very hot-tempered? Very angry? I don't think your face shows you're not showing. I used to be very angry, बोल के smile कर रहे थे. ऐसे थोड़ी चल रहा है. Anyway, anger, all of us have anger. Anger arises. But as I said the other day, it is important not to develop resentment. Anger थोड़ा सा हुआ, फिर उसको शांत हो गया, फिर become friends. है ना? As much as possible, reduce anger. If you want to become handsome, reduce anger. If you want to become beautiful, reduce anger. क्यों बोल रहा है मैं? गहराई से नहीं बोल रहा है. For immediate purposes also. For example, if you want to be a very beautiful lady and comb your hair nicely, फिर इधर क्या बोलते हैं इसको, earrings, gold earrings. Then इधर भी बहुत सारा कुछ लगा दिया, black, white, yellow जो भी लगाना सब लगा दिया, है ना? ठीक है, लगाओ जितना लगाना लगाओ. So you decorate yourself heavily, then after that you get angry. Now are you beautiful? With all these ornaments, decorations, when you get angry, you don't look beautiful. And look at the statue of the Buddha. He doesn't have even his hair. Forget about other decorations. But what he has, the most beautiful ornament he has is smile. You see? Again, you can see here, you see, this smile on the face becomes from inner calmness. Inner calmness. When you're inside there is calmness and there peace, then blood flows properly. फिर blood pressure का वो रुकावट वो भी नहीं होगा, है ना? Blood flows properly, and when blood flows properly means there is enough supply of blood on the face also. When there's enough supply of blood on the face, then some places very white, some places a little bit red, very beautiful. Tibet में, many women have that. In those old days, they don't have any of this modern, cosmetics and things like that. But they naturally have this pink, what do you call it? Cheek, yeah, things like that. This is mentioned in the text, sutra. The Buddha himself has said this. Thak gyur chedo, that means blood will flow. Shinji dang sevar chedo, that means your facial complexion will become clear. And inside there's no calmness, no happiness, फिर क्या होगा? Blood flow will not be proper, energy flow will not be proper. फिर क्या होता है? यहाँ वहाँ सब पिंपल, हर जगह पिंपल ये, है ना? Spots, फिर stomach भी खराब हो जाता है. Stomach खराब होने से फिर यहाँ क्या होता है? Dark spots, everything. So these are very related to the health also. Very much related to the health. है ना? This is very important. If you want to become handsome and beautiful, develop these inner qualities. If you want to become rich, develop these inner qualities. I'm telling you this based on my experience. Based on my experience, I'm not saying I'm rich. But what I'm saying is, I never worked for money, that's for sure. Not because I'm a great practitioner, because I'm a little bit stupid. If you're a little bit dull and stupid, then you don't aspire many things. So there are good things, bad things. You see? In the Tibetan society, I am probably one of those who managed to go to foreign countries. Many, many years back. Probably I was maybe the second person or third person to go to Israel a long time back. Then in America. In those days, people, oh, you went to America? Ah. And these days, people are trying to get multi-entry visa. But in those days, I went there 5 years without my having to ask anything. They gave me 5-year multi-entry visa. Later on, I got many times 10-year multi-entry visa. Then stupid me, never stayed there, come back, you see. But I'm not regretting. Right? Right? So therefore what I'm really saying is, even if you want to become rich, it's not just thinking money all the time. It is changing your lifestyle. The definition of a rich person is not who is a billionaire or things like that. Millionaire to begin to be name, billionaire and things like that. But the rich means you have money for your livelihood, place to stay, something to eat, no need to worry. Itna hona chahiye. Then you are rich. And to reach that level, it's not so much dependent upon how much you earn, but it's dependent upon how you spend. What is your lifestyle? And many of us who have not much earning, and even that little earning, we spend it. बोलते हैं हम लोग यहाँ से निकल जाते हैं सर, बोलते हैं ना सारा पैसा. We don't know. ये भी मुझे चाहिए, ये भी नहीं चाहिए, ये भी नहीं चाहिए. Then you ruin your health. You buy everything, all the junks you buy, store it in your room, keep on eating it like a pig. Then you become sick. This is a fact, real story that I'm telling you. So therefore, this inner development, inner qualities are very, very important for your health, well-being, happiness, harmony with others, and so many things. Okay. Okay. There is no austerity like patience. So do not give way to anger so therefore do not give way to anger, instead overcome anger. The Buddha acknowledged one attains the stage of non-returning. That means if you continuously practice this patience and don't give opportunity to anger, and then from the point of view of the Buddhist spiritual path, then you achieve the first path, which is called path of accumulation. Then you gradually proceed forward, and then also go through the spiritual levels, spiritual paths and spiritual levels. Then you reach 8th spiritual level, from where there is no returning back to the samsara again. That's the meaning. Okay? Now in order to, if removing anger is very important, what is the method? As I already mentioned, that in order to remove anger, first you should remove resentment. Resentment. Now resentment, how does resentment arise? Resentment arises by thinking, this person insulted me, this person struck me, this person overwhelmed me, this person stole my wealth. Such resentment generates conflict. The one who abandons resentment sleeps easily. है ना, उसने मुझे उस दिन ऐसा भी किया. You think like this. This person harmed my friends, my relatives in the past. He is harming my relatives now. He is going to definitely harm my relatives in the future. Then you get resentment. This person has harmed me in the past, harming me now, will harm me in the future. Again you develop resentment. This person has helped my enemy in the past. He is still helping my enemy. He will most probably help my enemy in the future. So in this 9 process of thinking, you develop resentment. ठीक है ना? So don't think like that. Don't think like that. Okay? Now you might think, if somebody has really harmed me, why I should not think that he has harmed me? Simply by thinking he has harmed me, is that a solution? What the text is saying is that just thinking like that is not the solution. If there's a solution, find the solution and do it. Don't just keep on thinking. The Chinese leaders have harmed my country in the past, harming our country still. And given their ideology, it is 100% sure they are going to harm our country in the future. So thinking like that, if I develop resentment, is that the solution? That's not the solution. The solution is We all mistakes. We all make mistakes, you know. And they have harmed us. That is true. But one reason that they were able to easily harm us was because we are also not prepared. So it's easy to blame others. Easy to blame others. I've been telling my younger Tibetan generation, for example, the best way of fighting an enemy is making yourself strong in education, in efficiency. And if you don't develop yourself simply thinking that my enemy has harmed him in the past, that is not the solution. They will continue to harm you in the future. When you are weak, not only your human enemy will harm you, you will also be harmed by viruses. During COVID-19, you know, our experiences, those people who are physiologically weak, they become the victim, not those who are strong. And when you are weak, viruses will harm you, your enemy will harm you, both Bhut-Prit will harm you, if there is one. Right? So strengthen yourself. That's the way to challenge the wrong being, the enemy. Okay? Now the next one, verse number 17. Again, with regard to maintaining heedfulness, there are two ways. You maintain heedfulness by analyzing other people's conduct, and you maintain mindfulness by analyzing your own personal conduct. And then also practicing heedfulness by analyzing the object of engagement of the mind. Now with regard to development of heedfulness, by analyzing your own conduct should be analyzed in two ways. One, maintaining heedfulness by analyzing the object of your mental engagement, and second, maintaining heedfulness by analyzing your verbal conduct. Two things. Now with the mind, this is very important verse. Understand thought as being like figures drawn in water, earth and stone. For an afflicted state of mind, the first is best, with an aspiration to the Dharma, the last. So that means when it comes to doing good things, like development of compassion, it should be like, there are three kind of trends. One is like drawing on ground. Or maybe like this, drawing on water, then drawing on ground or earth, then drawing on stone. Now out of these three, in terms of Dharma practice, like development of compassion, it should be drawing on or carving on stone. Not, if that is not possible, at least carving on ground, not on water. Because whatever you draw on water immediately gets erased. Now when it comes to development of negative emotion, it should be drawing on water. That's what I was saying. If you get angry, then forget. Don't maintain ill will, don't maintain resentment. Okay? That's what he's saying. It's easy to understand, but very important. Very important. So this is how you should watch your mind. Now next is training in heedfulness by analyzing the object of your speech. Object of your speech. The Jina declared a person's speech as being three types: pleasing, truthful, and improper. Like honey, a flower, and filth. The last should be abundant. So when you speak to others, if possible, it should be like a honey. Husband and wife, they exchange the word by saying honey, whatever that means. Bolta hai na honey. I hear this very many times in America. Honey. So anyway, at least in your speech, if possible, it should be like honey, If not, at least a flower, not like a filth. Kai log aisa hota hai na, when they open their mouth, it's really like opening a filth. Should not be like that. Oh. Now, so those speeches that you use related to non-virtuous activities, the Jina declared person speech as being of three types. Pleasing, let me explain this word pleasing. Pleasing means those speeches, those words which are not related to non-virtuous activities. Then the speech that you use will be very pleasing. Very pleasing. When you meet somebody, your eye should welcome that person. Then speech also, make sure that you don't say anything which will belittle that person, discourage that person, upset that person, as much as possible, uplift the mind of that person. So that is called pleasing. Goes to the heart, just like tasting honey. Second is truthful. Truthful means speaking about law of causality. Speaking of Four Noble Truth, things that we are talking right now, this is truthful. And then talking about the conventional truth, ultimate truth. So these are also word of truth, therefore they are free from any fault and blemish. So therefore this is like flower, especially the lotus flower, which although grew in the mud, is not tainted with the mud. That's the meaning, not any other flower, but especially lotus flower. Then, in the wrong way, people who use wrong speech, people whose minds are not transformed through studying philosophical systems, then their words are related to afflictive emotion, or those people who have wrong view, wrong conduct, so their speeches are something that must be defamed, discouraged. So therefore it is really like filth, whether the speech is either unrelated or improper or and therefore they are like filth. So out of this, the speeches which is like a filth must be abandoned. Next, training yourself, practicing by analyzing your conduct as well as the conduct of other people. Persons are of four types. Those who go from light, reach an end of light, from darkness to an end of darkness, from the light to darkness and darkness to light, be like the first of them. Yeah? So you should be somebody who travels from light to light, not darkness to darkness, not even light to darkness. Darkness to light is okay, but the best one is the first one, traveling from light to light. So light here means those that are logical, those that are intelligent. Darkness here refers to stupidity, ignorance. So therefore, from this human life, if you engage in certain practice so that you again obtain a precious human life, again this is like traveling from light to light. For example, then those who are in the bad negative state of existence, and then because of non-virtuous action, they fall into negative state existence. This is traveling from darkness to darkness. And you may have obtained a precious human life, which is really like a light, but if you engage in practicing the 10 non-virtuous actions, then you will fall into negative state of existence. This is traveling from light to darkness. Okay, this is not so difficult. Next is, what is primarily important is that you should maintain heedfulness by analyzing the conduct of others. Because you are an ordinary person, you will be very much influenced by other people with whom you associate. Therefore, it's important to analyze the conduct, nature of other people. Now, to analyze them, you should find out people should be understood as being like the mango fruit. There are unripe ones which seems ripe, ripe ones which seem unripe, unripe which appear unripe, and ripe appearing ripe. So there are people who at a first glance looks very nice, but take time. Then later on you will find this person is really manipulative and ugly. And then there are others who looks horrible, but with the passing of time you find that person very reliable. So take time. That's what he's saying. Take time. Take time. Okay? And next is maintaining heedfulness by removing distraction to sensual objects. And first and foremost thing is not to engage in sexual misconduct. Gaze not upon another's wife, but if you should take notice, formulate a conception of mother, daughter, or sister according to her age. If lust should arise, contemplate the impure state of the body. So that means as much as possible, क्या बोलते हैं? Casually you are walking somewhere, you do see people. I mean, we are not talking about going everywhere with your eyes closed. We are not saying that. What we are saying is, gur के देखना बोलता है ना, हिंदी में बोलता है ना, अबे क्या गुर रहा है बोलता है को गुर के नहीं देखना. इसको इंग्लिश में क्या बोलते हैं? Staring, exactly, stare. Gaze भी ठीक नहीं, stare not upon another's wife. ठीक है ना? But if you should take notice, आ जाता है, कौन रोक सकता है? हाँ, रास्ते में आ जाता है. फिर क्या सोचना है? If that woman is senior to you, see her as your mother. Equal of age, your sister. Younger, see it as a daughter. ठीक है ना? सोच सकता है नहीं? It's a practice. ऐसा नहीं कहा कितना सुंदर है बोल, ऐसा नहीं. Okay. Then he says, even if you are unable to stop, because as I said, we have not removed negative emotions, and the object is there. In fact, very beautiful object. And improper way of engaging to the object is there, as I recited the other day. Then it's really like the fire meeting with the fuel. फिर आग जलेगा. फिर क्या करना चाहिए? Then the last one में बोला है ना, contemplate the impure state of the body. फिर थोड़ा शांति से बैठ के फिर देखो, देखने में इतना सुंदर दिख रहा है, लेकिन है क्या? Beauty is skin deep. ये सुना आपने? ये मैं नहीं बोल रहा है, बुद्धा नहीं बोल रहा है. ब्यूटी इज स्किन डिप है कि नहीं है? इसकी नेक्स्ट लाइन क्या है? उसका दूसरा लाइन कई लोगों से पूछा, किसी को पता नहीं. एवरीबडी नोस ब्यूटी इज स्किन डिप. अगला लाइन जो है वो पता नहीं किसी को. लकीली आई रेड इट इन अ बुक. द बुक सेज ब्यूटी इज स्किन डिप, अगली गोज ऑल द वे डाउन. हाँ, अभी ये स्किन है. स्किन कितना लेयर है? 7 layers ऑफ स्किन. नीचे जाएगा तो फिर क्या है? खून है, मांस है, हड्डी है. हाँ, क्या है? कुछ भी नहीं है ना? And actually, scientifically speaking, the skin that we touch also, scientifically speaking, the first layer of the skin is actually dead skin. तो उसकी डेड स्किन के पीछे दौड़ रहे हैं हम लोग। ऐसा सोचने से बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है। इसलिए शांति देवा इन बोधिसत्व चार्य अवतार ही says, why should an impermanent person develop attachment to an another impermanent person? Why should impermanent person develop hatred towards another person who is impermanent? Hatred, attachment, hatred, whatever. Why should you develop that to somebody who is impermanent? Impermanent means fragile, impure. ठीक है ना? So it's primarily not so much of the body, but it's primarily because of your internal negative emotions, which sees things in the wrong way. है ना? But if you closely examine, then फिर नाक से क्या निकलता है, आंख से क्या निकलता है? Nothing pure, है ना? But this is not to discourage. Mizan Lune Lane Jeveku Rinje Renda Meba Juruena Chanju Simki Chawarab Dezo. Right in the beginning of Shantideva's Bodhichara Avtara, he says, if you look at the body itself, there's nothing, to be appreciated so much. It's impure and things like that. But the great thing is that this seemingly impure body has an amazing human mind by which you can transform this ordinary human body into the body of the Buddha. So you need to see from both the perspective, Otherwise you might think, oh, he's discouraged me, But nobody can say this is not true, this is true. So therefore, not only just follow the Buddha's teaching, also scientifically explore the nature of your body and the things that is there inside, how fragile things that is there inside. The more fragile a thing, the more it is packed nicely, even according to the modern system of packing. है ना? है कि नहीं है? Anything that is more fragile is packed nicely, then also put a label saying, fragile, handle carefully. This is something you see repeatedly at the airport. Fragile, handle carefully. So I'm tempted to put a placard here to each of you, or me also, saying fragile, handle carefully. This makes perfect sense. So when you relate to other people, be careful. That's what he's saying. Be heedful. Be careful. They are vulnerable. Their mind is sensitive. Their body is sensitive. Help them. Don't harm them. That is all this text is saying. It's very, very true. Very true. Okay? So therefore you should be heedful in protecting your mind. Keep watch over the fleeting mind as though it were a great learning, a sun, a treasure, or your life force. Recoil from sensory pleasures, for they are like a snake poison, a weapon, an enemy, and fire. So how to guard your mind? It's so beautiful. It says it should be guarded like, number one, like your learning. All the studies that you've done already, is it important that you guard you? To guard this knowledge, the learning that you had? Is it important to protect it? Yes. नहीं तो फिर क्या हुआ? पढ़ के फिर सब कुछ भूल गया तो फिर, है ना? So in Buddhist study, Dharma study also, it is important to study a little bit and then make sure that you are able to retain it in your mind. Similarly, so the purpose of listening to something is that you repeatedly think about it, okay? And then repeatedly by thinking about it, you should always also recite it by word of mouth. For example, these verses, they are so effective. The English translation I don't know so much, but the Tibetan verses are so effective. I have memorized almost all of them. They're so useful, so good, so effective. So sometimes I see it, just, pick a few verses and then I sit here reciting, Then it stays in your mind. Okay? Then son. I don't need any explanation for this. Because the son or your child is innocent. He or she might do many stupid things. he or she might fall from the stairs. Right? So therefore the mother has to be very careful in order to protect the son, to son or child. Okay. Similarly, treasure. Treasure here means if you have some jewelry or some money, so you protect it by putting it in the bank or maybe in your own home where there is a double lock or something. Huh? Right? Especially if other people knew where you have kept your treasure, then it's important that you protect it properly so that this is not lost. Here in the library we have to make sure that the important scriptures are protected, not from thieves, but also from fire, from earthquake, things like that. So anything that is important must be safeguarded. Or your life force. Your life force means the energy that makes you survive. Life force. प्राण बोलते हैं ना हम लोग. मैं तो डर से प्राण निकल गया बोलते हैं ना. प्राण नहीं निकलना है, उसको प्रोटेक्ट करना है. Okay? Okay? And then of course when it comes to protecting your life, you should protect it all the time. Protecting your life means not going to the wrong place, not eating the wrong food, things like that. And especially doing the good things. So like that, you should protect your mind from going into the negative emotions. Next, instruction to maintain heedfulness by seeing the false disadvantages of sensual enjoyment, sensual pleasure. This is very relevant in today's world. Sensory, see, I like this word. Sensory objects produce ruination. आपको बर्बाद करके छोड़ देगा. Is there anybody who is very good in Hindi? Somebody very good in Hindi? Should make an attempt to translate this text. Hindi में तो इतना सुंदर आता है ना, because there's such a close connection between Tibetan and Hindi. I didn't see a translation of this in Hindi. And इतना सुंदर होगा हिंदी में, है ना? Ruination. The Hindi word that came in my mind was barbad. ये तो sensory objects produce आपको बर्बाद करके छोड़ देगा, बिखर के छोड़ देगा आपको, like that. The Jinendra declared them to be like kampaka fruit. Kampaka fruit, ऐसे fruit है कुछ, supposed to be a poisonous fruit. It looks very beautiful, and when you eat it, it kills you. So like that, the sensual pleasures are like that, and they must be abandoned. By its shackle, the world is bound in the prison of samsara. By its shackle, by running out of the sensual objects, the world is put into this prison of samsara. So here I give the example of this mall, big malls. ठीक है ना? Big mall. Out of these five senses, if you let your five senses engross into any of the five sensual objects, you will be in big problem. Even if you let one of your senses engross into one sensual object, there will be big problem. In Abhidharma text, this is mentioned by saying that if you are somebody who is very strongly attached to form, physical form, it will lead to your ruination. The example given for this, butterfly. The butterfly is attracted to the form, the butter lamp, and just because of this, the attachment to the physical form alone, it goes into the lamp and dies there. Then similarly sound. In ancient times it is said that in order to catch animals, wild animals, like deers and so forth, you put a trap somewhere and play some musical instrument, and then these wild animals, they were very attracted by that sound, that music, and then gets entrapped. Attachment just to the sound. Maki, the flies, they are very engrossed with that smell, and wahan jaake hundreds and they are stuck feet stuck in that pile of dirt and gets killed there. Smell. When the fisherman, in order to catch the fish, puts a little bit of meat, and then the fish comes up, it's got caught and killed. Taste. Touch. If you gently massage the elephant, he really enjoys it and lies down, and then he is chained and then slept. Now see, when you develop this attachment to just one sensual object, you can lose your life. Now look at the crazy human beings. We are attached to all the 5 sensual objects. That's why the malls sprang up. Big mall है ना, उसमें सब कुछ है अभी. First floor, let us say, as I have systematically as I have explained, let us say the first floor is televisions, film. You are able to see all the Bollywood, Hollywood, sports person, everything. Then cloth advertisement, you get so attracted and then you buy it. आपका जान तो नहीं गया, लेकिन कितना पैसा गया? You may have not lost your life, but you have lost so much money. Okay? Then sound. Next floor, CDs, DVDs. है कि नहीं? मैं ऐसे बोल रहा है कि है कि नहीं? CDs, DVDs, Japanese music, Chinese music, American music, Indian music, whatever. You spend a lot of time and you are so attracted to it. आजकल तो even on the road you find people block their ear. You get into trouble. Then smell. Next floor, chiragne ke liye. Next floor, made from this flower, that flower, all the scents. Like that. I've seen doing that, you see. Then next floor, restaurants, tasting, Chinese restaurant, Indian restaurant, food, all kind of things, And next floor, cloth, men, women, kids. I've explored all of them. Exactly as the Abhidharma explained. Not only that, they have laid all the traps for you to take away all your money. Yes, eh? One, the commodities that they are selling are arranged so nicely, beautifully. For example, fruit juice. The fruit juice lying inside maybe 6 months old, 1 year old, believe me. अभी नहीं बनाया ये, आपके आंख के सामने नहीं बनाया, that's 100% sure. But it will not smell because chemicals and other things, preservatives are there. Outside is packed nicely, then you end up buying all those things. Then to add fuel to the fire, it says buy one free. है ना, जूता ले लो, जो भी ले लो, buy one free. कल मैंने लिया, buy one free. एक हनी पैकेट था, गुरुजी 1 buy 1 free बोलता, अच्छा तो ले लिया मैंने. So we are duped like that so easily, है ना, buy one free. I mean, when you enter that mall, you forget control over yourself. Buy one free there, and then the decoration and presentation is so good. Huh? Then also, people are really like moving like a zombie, There's a stack of baskets lying there. One person who goes before you pick up one basket. I have no idea what he's going to buy, but he picks up one basket and goes there. And then because the person who went in front of you picked up one, you should also picked up one, because you are no less than that person. इनको prove करना है आपने, तो आपने भी pick किया. You just can't keep on going around with an empty basket. फिर क्या करेंगे? देखा buy one free डाल देते हैं. करके ऐसे करके बहुत सारा कुछ डाल के आए किया. Then you go reach the counter. When you pay the money, you have no idea how much money you have, because you have plastic card. ज़्यादातर हम लोगों को पता भी नहीं. We have no idea how much money you have there. और machine खींच जाएगा. thar karke. If you actually pay money, you have some hesitation. Itna kyun de raha hai? Ab plastic se khinch raha hai. Still you are suffering from what we call a shopping coma. है ना? And then you come out, put it in your car or whatever, then you go to your home and unpack it. तब होश में आ जाते हैं आप. Then you come back to your senses. फिर पता चलता है कि क्यों लिया मैंने ये. It's already there in my home. ऐसा हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? मैं ऐसे बकवास कर रहा है. हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? हुआ ना? नहीं हुआ? नहीं हुआ? आपके पास पैसा नहीं होगा ना इसलिए. हाँ? हुआ नहीं हुआ? हुआ नहीं, कोई नहीं बोलेगा क्यों. Everybody wants to say that I'm good. Anyway, मेरे साथ बहुत हुआ ऐसे. Then you come back to your senses. Right? So therefore what I'm saying is, again, I'm not saying you don't buy, I'm not saying you don't enjoy, but what I'm saying is be very careful. What you really need, what you really don't need. Sensory objects produce ruination. The Jinendra declared them to be like the kampaka fruit and to be abandoned by its shackles. By its shackles, the world is bound in the prison of samsara. The whole world is running today for sensual pleasures. Environmental degradation, we don't care. Water pollution, we don't care. Air pollution, we don't care. All we need is buying. So don't just complain the business people. Don't just complain the shopkeepers. We are equally responsible. So what I was really thinking was, in this case also we really need to come up with some kind of revolution. Say no to many things. And all this packaged food will stop if you are able to say no to many things. Like for example, at least here I'm getting this water, filtered water. You see? I'm encouraging to use filtered water here, but very often it's easy to distribute the bottled water, so very often I find our staff is also distributing the bottled water, which I am really trying to discourage. You know, where will these plastics go? So many animals are dying, you know. And now it also comes back in the food, small pieces of plastics. Anything that comes from the animal product also has these plastic pieces. Very, very dangerous. So there are many things we need to say no. By it is shackled, the world is bound in the prison of samsara. Samsara, don't talk about this big cycle of existence, but look at our ordinary way of life, you know. The world is really suffocating today. And the way we are living is really moving towards a global suicide. If you don't take care, I don't take care, who will take care? चलता है नहीं बोलना चाहिए. हम लोग बार बार बोलते हैं ना, चलेगा बोलते हैं ना, नहीं चलेगा अभी. नहीं चलने वाला है. Right? So this is very, very important. So therefore the next word is very, very powerful. The next word says, if you are able to reduce this attachment to the sensual objects, you are the greatest hero. You are the greatest hero. That is what he's saying. Of those who triumph over the 6 ever unstable and wavering senses, and those who triumph over a host of enemies in the face of battle, the first, that means those who triumph over the 6 ever unstable and wavering senses, they are viewed by the wise as being the greater heroes. There are two kinds of people, one who gain control over one who has control over the 5 senses, and one who gain control and get victorious in the battlefield by killing the enemies. The one who really controls one's senses is the real hero. And the rest, the one who gains, control or victory in the battlefield is really like killing dead people. As we discussed earlier, there's no need to kill people, they'll die. We have only, speeded it up a little bit. थोड़ा जल्दी से मार दिया, नहीं तो वो मरने वाला है. तो इसको, that is not hero. है ना? And again there is this paradox, if you kill one person, you will be called a murderer. If you kill hundreds and millions, you are welcomed as a hero. This is again paradox. Huh? है ना? If you copy from one book, it is plagiarism. If you copy from many books, it's research. So there are many paradoxical things. Many paradoxical things. Okay? So this is real hero. If you gain control over your senses, is your real hero. Okay? And now this instruction is primarily given to the monks in those days, so therefore it's again talking about removing attachment to the women. A young maiden's body full of odor, comprised of 9 apertures, similar to a container of every filth, difficult to fill, क्योंकि बार-बार खाना पड़ता है, and clogged in skin, बंधा हुआ, fragile, nicely packed, as I said, should be viewed apart from its adornments. Take out all the decorating substances. If the body is already very beautiful, very handsome, very good, then we don't need all these perfumes. Perfume इसलिए लगा रहा है कि क्योंकि कुछ नुक्स है ना, कुछ छिपाने के लिए. So this is, as I said, instruction specially given for the monks. Okay, so it's not the women, man's body is also exactly like that. So if you're a women practitioner, it's the other way around. Okay? So this doesn't need any special explanation. Now, why we are not satisfied with the things that we get? Why we keep on running after sensual objects? Because we have craving. First you develop attachment, then you develop craving, then you develop grasping, right? So therefore, if you want to stop your attachment to sensual objects, you need to stop craving. Craving is like this. Understand the desire for sense objects as being like a leper's craving for comfort when tormented by maggots. He exposes his body to fire but is not soothed. That means this is, the more enjoying sensual objects is like drinking salty water. The more you drink, the more you'll become thirsty. So he gives the example of a leper. When a leper suffers from leprosy, then if you stay near the fire, it gives some comfort. Then you scratch a little bit. Temporarily you get some comfort. But if you scratch more, it will become worse. So it's like that. Enjoying sensual objects is really like scratching a wound. Okay. Lepers. I once visited that lepers headquarters in India, in Madras. It has at that time 70-something branches all over India. So I went to meet some of these lepers and also went into this place where they are, where operation is done, things like that, you see. Okay. So this completes explanation about the importance of maintaining heedfulness, which is really a precursor, a preliminary practice for all spiritual paths. And immediately after this, he is going to explain the actual path. Very extensive explanation of the path common to both the Hinayana and Mahayana vehicle, and also a brief explanation of the special path of the Mahayana. And then in a nutshell, he identifies the object of meditation. Okay, in a nutshell. Verse 27. In order to see the highest meaning, exercise proper attention towards all entities. There is no other dharma so virtuous. So virtuous. That means the most important thing, as we discussed already, maintain awareness, mindfulness to see the things as they are. especially the ultimate truth. And he's saying there cannot be any other practice better than this. So this is basically saying there's no other practice better than understanding shunyata and applying it. Okay, so in order to see the highest meaning, he says highest meaning, but it's saying in order to see the ultimate truth, in order to see the ultimate truth, properly analyze the way things are. What is the ultimate truth of this glass of water? What is the ultimate truth of this book? What is the ultimate truth of all these people sitting here? Analyze the ultimate truth of each one of us. Then you will find there's nothing that has concrete, inherent, independent existence. Okay? That's what he's saying. So this is taught primarily for understanding shunyata, which we discussed a little bit already, right? So now there's no need to spend so much time. And it is here that you also talk about meditation on the Four Noble Truth. Okay? Impermanence, suffering, selflessness, emptiness, and so forth. Anything that is conditioned is impermanent. Anything that is contaminated leads to suffering. All phenomena are empty, and all phenomena also selfless. That means any material object or any consciousness, they come into being by depending on their causes and conditions. Therefore, they are conditioned. Okay? It doesn't stay still even for 1 second. Everything is in a flux, that's the meaning. Everything is in a flux. And one movement ceases, another movement arises. The very first movement gives fruit to the next, the next fruit to the next, and like this. Constantly changing. Accordingly, you should think. And accept the true path, all conditioned phenomena contaminated. For example, the world in which we are living, the physical body, and the mind and the mental factors, these are all contaminated. And anything that is related to the suffering of feeling is called suffering of suffering. So here also we talk about these 3 types of suffering: suffering of suffering, suffering of change, conditioned suffering. Suffering of suffering means obvious suffering. Obvious suffering. When we get, stomach ache or headache, there is suffering, which animals also recognize. So that is not so difficult. But there we have to be careful how you are getting this suffering of suffering. Second is suffering of change. Suffering of change. Now you have been sitting here over an hour and a half already. Okay? So in the beginning you came prepared. I hope you have enjoyed. Now as you spend more and more time, some people have started getting up and going somewhere, so whatever. And then if I say that this teaching is so important, it's very difficult to get such a teaching. So we are not going to have lunch, So if I keep on teaching, what will you do? Gradually, one by one, everybody will disappear because you are experiencing suffering of change. The purpose of this teaching is, with whatever friends you associate, with whatever wealth you enjoy, it's suffering of change. You're not going to get reliable, long-lasting happiness from them. इसलिए आजकल, especially in some foreign countries, they're changing everything. They marry somebody, then after 1 or 2 years, they say, oh, this wife is not of my type. Not of my type. Then they change next wife. I know this one didn't work, but this one will work. Then after another 1 or 2 years, oh, this one also turned out to be quite similar to the first one. They leave it. And then marry a next one. Right? Not realizing Then you cannot get happiness by changing what is outside of you. You yourself, you never change. You thought problem is with the wife, problem is with the husband, problem with his furniture. So you keep on changing the external things. You yourself never change, therefore you never get happiness. You know? So we keep on changing everything, including changing wife. That doesn't bring long-lasting happiness and peace. Okay? So suffering of change, if you understand suffering of change, then you will not expect too much from anybody. Then the third one is called conditioned suffering. That means you experience these two levels of suffering, suffering of change, because basically something is wrong. Basically something is wrong means your very life is a product of negative emotion and contaminated actions. If you don't understand that, then at least look at your body. By what stuff, by what material your body is made up of? Is it made up of diamond or at least stone? पत्थर से बना हुआ नहीं है ना आपका शरीर, नहीं है ना, फ्रेजाइल है ना, खून निकलता है ना, sensitive है ना. So when you have taken such a body, and similarly your mind also not sensitive, your mind also very sensitive. थोड़ा प्रशंसा करने से खुश हो जाता है, छलांग मारता है. If I praise a little bit, you will be over the moon, and if I defame you a little bit, discourage you a little bit, फिर क्या करेगा आप? गड्ढे में घुस जाएगा, नीचे, है ना? Very sensitive. Therefore, in the Buddhist teaching it says, don't get too happy when somebody praises you, because there are others who are saying bad things about you. When you hear somebody saying bad things about you, don't get too discouraged, because there are others who are saying good things about you. What is important is who are you, not what other people say. But our mind is so sensitive, therefore we are suffering. So as I said, when we started the session, I said happiness is a choice. So here in this case also I really would like to say that you are not a Kathputli. Kathputli ko kya bolte? Puppet. Puppet. You are not a puppet. Because we live like a puppet. ऐसा कपड़ा पहने से वो क्या सोचेगा, ऐसा कपड़ा पहने से वो क्या बोलेगा, ऐसा चलने से वो क्या बोलेगा. I mean, you try to fit in the society. बोलता भी है ना, he is not fitting in the society. So what? है ना? So therefore, what is important is that you should have full control over yourself. Don't dance at the tunes of others. You are not puppet. You are not Kathputli. Number one. Number two, as I said many times, you are the only original copy in this world. Meaning that you are very precious. Original copy means you have your own special capacities, uniqueness. Figure that out. Use that. Whatever capacity you have, use it. Don't imitate others. We keep on imitating others. Everybody is imitating. Study is imitation. Learning is imitation. You know. And whoever does the best imitation is called a scholar. है कि नहीं? है कि नहीं? है ना? So don't just imitate. You listen to others, but think, figure things out by yourself. This is really important, very, very important. Okay? So therefore, all these different kinds of sufferings come because something is wrong with your way of thinking. So change your attitude. Change your attitude. Okay? Reduce the intensity of the negative emotions. Now next verse is saying that especially when you enter into the first path, which path of accumulation, then you should especially focus on practice of morality and wisdom. Okay? Though of high family, handsome features, and much learning, a person is not worthy of honor if he lacks wisdom and morality. Thus, one who possesses these two qualities, though lacking in others, should be venerated. So here, these two, development of wisdom and development of morality, is highly, highly respected. And if you don't have these two, then even if you have a PhD certificate, MA certificate, IT expertise, whatever you have, or you have a very beautiful physical form, whatever, you are not worthy of respect. And even if you don't have many of these other things, if you have these two, morality, which is, as we already studied, like a ground, then especially capacity to analyze what is wrong, you are the right person. You are the person that must be respected and venerated. Okay? And then also when you are on the path of accumulation, it is important to equalize the 8 worldly dharmas. Equalize the 8 worldly dharma means when you encounter these 8 worldly practices, you should not get too excited or too discouraged, as we already discussed earlier. Loss, well-being, misery, fame, disrepute, praise and censure, be indifferent to these 8 worldly dharmas and let them not enter in your mind. So that means he's again telling the king that you should not be fluctuating or change your behavior because of these 8 worldly dharmas. For example, that means first, when you find a lot of wealth, then normally you get very excited. He is saying it's good, but you don't get too excited. Thieves are waiting, robbers are waiting, income tax people are watching you, as simple as that. So don't get too excited. Okay. Now if you don't find the things, and meaning you are suffering from poverty, also don't get too discouraged, because you may be suffering from poverty, but you are not sick. Even if you are sick, you are not suffering from a chronic sickness. So there's so many positive ways of thinking. And then if you are well, that means you physically, mentally, you have no sickness, then you are well. And occasionally you are not well, also don't get too discouraged, because sometimes suffering is introduction to happiness. It is good that you become sick sometimes. Then you realize what it means to be well. When you are well, when you are physically well, you don't study. When you get sick, then you say, oh, I wish I am not sick, I can be studying. Stupid as we are, you see. Take it up. So nothing to be excited, nothing to be discouraged. And then if you hear pleasant words of, pleasant words from one to another person saying he's good. And sometimes you hear the same unpleasant words from different people. And sometimes you are praised by other people. Sometimes you are defamed by other people. Then don't get too when somebody praises you, don't get too happy. If your wealth, you get more wealth, people praise you, if you get arrogant or proud, then blood pressure increases. So maintain equanimity with all these 8 experiences. Okay? Jose. Okay, few questions. If you have.
Tashidul Geshe. I think my question is something.
कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं?
My question is a little bit harder, or we can say serious.
Oh.
Yeah, because the view of many people are very different on this thing.
Yeah.
So, as I understand Buddhism,
Yeah.
it tells about peace, happiness, and love to everyone.
Yes.
It tells that don't harm or kill anyone.
Yeah.
So I see that some people are saying that we want to spread the peace, compassion, and love in the world.
Yeah.
And we are supporter of green environment, and also we are
Yeah.
animal lover.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to food, like lunch or dinner, they forget everything and are ready to eat innocent animals in the form of chicken or mutton or anything. So, what is the view of Buddhism on killing of innocent animals or birds for their needs or taste?
Yeah, yeah,
Or and
Yeah,
also
yeah,
my
yeah.
question is that कि by non-vegetarian, what is the view of Buddhism on that कि अपनी needs के लिए हम किसी भी animals को
Two things. I got your question. Yeah, two
Thank
things. What is Buddhist view and how people are practicing are different. View तो बहुत अच्छा है. View is very good, but how much people are able to practice, that is different. You know, we can't expect all the Buddhists act like a Buddha one day. So slowly, hopefully they are changing, you see. Hopefully I'm saying, because in the beginning, when in Meghlorganj, there was not even one vegetarian restaurant. Not even one. Sub non-vegetarian restaurant. Now there are many. So things are changing. Right? So this is not only something unique to Buddhism or Buddhist practitioners, but all religions. They say something, their philosophy is something, but how people are able to practice is different. But that doesn't mean the philosophy is useless. It's helping slowly, and people are very difficult to change, you see. So it will take time. Yeah.
Hello, Tesli Kishla. Kishla, I actually asked the same question on my first day, but maybe I was unable to frame it properly. It was about the distinction between superstition and devotion, because in our sense, culturally, we have seen many things. It can be little things, or it can be more deeper ones. It can be the phenomena of powa or oracles, or it can be the phenomena of rungma that we wear with a little knot on it. And but on the other hand, we are required to be more analytical in our nature and understanding. So where do we find the understanding where we are to suppose this culturally produced things and things that are actually wisdom passed on by our teachers? So where do we find that distinction?
Very simple. You don't have to follow anything. You don't have to follow anything which doesn't make sense to you. At the same time, it is not your responsibility or job to criticize everything which you don't understand. So take the scientific approach. For example, if I ask the scientists, what do you think about future lives, past and future lives? They will never say, unless that scientist is a stupid dogmatic scientist, they will never say there is no past and future life. They themselves don't believe, but they will never say there is no past and future life. They will say, they normally do like this, Westerners. I don't know. This is the correct answer. There are many things you don't know, people are doing. So if you are interested, pay more attention whether it makes any sense or not. But for you, right now, follow those things which make sense. So no need to follow any of these, things, ritualistic and other things, you see. Okay. But having said that, as I said, there are many metaphysical things which you may not understand right now, but which is there. And then there are many things which people are just talking and non-existent. वो भी हो सकता है, सब कुछ, सब दिमाग का खेल है. Yes. Yeah.
Hello. Okay. So I'm just following up Lobsang's question. So I need to frame it too. So what about following someone on the basis of testimony of the reliable guide? Like, what about that?
What about following some?
Sometimes you don't have the reason,
Yeah.
but you believe because
Uh,
of the testimony of someone who is reliable. So even though you don't have a scientific
that is
evidence.
When you say you have testimony, there is scientific evidence. Otherwise, what do you mean by testimony?
I'm saying because it might not be able to, he or she might not be able to explain it
Yeah,
to you
yeah.
scientifically, but somehow you trust the person. So if someone
Why would you trust the person?
because he could be the reliable guide.
He could be, or
I mean, if he's a reliable guide,
no, how do you know he is reliable?
suppose if I take example of my own mother,
Yeah,
and then I don't know when I'm born, because only document that I trust his certificate.
Yeah,
So my mom says that you are born 22nd of August because of this. So I'm not asking for proof, but I'm just relying for the reliable guide. So likewise, Lobsang has put, there's a lot of things I believe, like Suma and a lot of things. But if I go too scientifically, it might take me further from that. So somehow I incline towards.
Here थोड़ा चक्कर काट के आना पड़ता है आपको. चक्कर काट के आना पड़ता है. So you need to know these things. In the realm of phenomena, there are three types of phenomena. First is called manifest phenomena. Okay. Second is called slightly hidden phenomena. Third is called completely hidden phenomena. वो प्रकृति में है. There are three things. Now those first level, which is called manifest phenomena, here as much as possible you should yourself observe it. Because now there's a table in front of me. You can see, you don't have to ask anybody. Right? Right? So those levels of phenomena where you can directly perceive, hear, see, you should yourself go and find that out. Not much need to listen to other people. You should go. आँखों देखा हाल बोलता है ना हम लोग. वो अब आँख से देख सकता है, कान से सुन सकता है. That's first level. Second, slightly hidden. Slightly hidden means you cannot see with your eye or hear with your ear, but you can still figure that out by using reason, logic. For example, the example that we normally put is, if you see smoke on the top of a distant mountain, don't see the fire, but because of the reason of presence of smoke, you can figure out there may be fire, there may be human beings. So you can infer, right? Similarly, for example, tomorrow at 9:30, if I don't enter fully, just show a piece of this robe, you might think Geshe Lhakdor is coming. This is not Geshe Lhakdor, but with this reason you can figure out Geshe Lhakdor is coming because of certain other factors. So there are certain things that you can understand through inferential cognition. Then is the third level, which is called completely hidden phenomena, which is actually the example that you brought forth. Your birth date, completely hidden for you. You have no idea when you were born. Your mother says you were born on such and such date and time and year, and you believe it. Now, थोड़ा चक्कर करके, जैसे मैंने बोला था. Now here now you need to find out indirectly. You can use reasoning. Directly you can't use reasoning. Indirectly you can use reasoning by saying, my mother told me that this is the day and the year on which I am born, and must be correct because number one, she has love and affection to me. Number two, she doesn't get anything by telling my birthday wrong, right? Things like that. So indirectly you come up with a reason and then prove it. So similarly in the teaching of the Buddha also there are many, completely hidden type of phenomena which you may not be able to trust right now, but you may think it should be. That's what I'm saying. It should be, you can say, but you don't need to trust right now.
Yes, thank you so much, Geshe Lhakdor.
Yeah.
Another follow-up question for this only, because I'm born in Ladakh and grown up in Ladakh, so I've been surrounded by a lot of things which is very Vajrayana specific. So also as I grow up, also I learn Buddhism through critical thinking. So I have one aspect of myself which is total faith because of intense inclinations. And on the other side, there's also a very critical mind. So now, at this stage of my life, I'm kind of struggling between, the two in a way. Of course, it's both. How would be the very skillful approach of balancing the two without discarding the total, like saying this is doesn't make sense to me, so I won't believe.
Exactly.
Even though I have an inclination.
Exactly.
And this makes sense because it's very critical, and I think it's right.
Yeah.
So how would you advise to
this has been a subject of big discussion in other areas also, faith versus reason, big discussion. So as I already discussed, in the case of our, following the Buddha's teaching, especially the Mahayana teaching, the faith that we are talking about is not blind faith. It is faith based on reason. So faith based on reason, in the case of faith based on reason, there is no conflict between faith and reason. You develop faith because you know this is the right thing. Based on your inquiry, based on your reasoning, based on your analysis, you know this is the right one. So you develop faith in that. So that is correct. There is no contradiction. Now there may be other areas which you are not able to figure out why we are having faith, and because of the community you are having some kind of faith. So because until and unless you find the reason to do that, no need to maintain that faith. You believe, you follow like other people, but deep down you don't have to have faith. Because you don't have deep down faith, don't say that this is useless because other people may be getting benefit from it. Right? For example, especially in the case of Ladakhis and Tibetans, in Tibet, in ancient times, in Tibet and Ladakh also, ordinary people the faith that they have is basically blind faith. But that blind faith turned out to be good because the one area where you are having this blind faith turned out to be good. But if it turns out to be something wrong, then you are in big disaster. Right? Okay? So therefore I always say, my simple rule is let people do whatever they want to do, so long as it is not harming them or harming others. Nacho, gao, jo bhi karna karo. Hai na? So similarly, there are things people do based on not so much idea, but if they are getting benefit from it, let them. But in your case, as much as possible, develop faith based on reason, study and knowledge. Okay? Yeah.
Teshnale, I have a question in continuation with Kalyan's question. So when we look at the history of vegetarianism in India, when we analyze the text of Buddha hermeneutically, we can know that it came as his agenda against the false sacrifices done by the Brahmins when they were performing animal sacrifices. Yeah, yeah. So that's how vegetarianism came to Buddhism as a philosophy. And we could also see references of Buddha eating meat when he was in power, meeting Kunda. He asked for the flesh of fat hogs meat. Yeah. And we could also hear a debate of his death by having pig meat. So he himself have eaten non-vegetarian meat, but he have also told that animals cannot be slaughtered for one's own desires. Other flesh can be taken off. So we have also seen people like Hitler who was vegetarian and who have done a lot of harm to people. So my confusion is that is there a solid scientific or rational thing that your food and your character has anything connected? And was Buddha also advocating vegetarianism purely on the basis of somebody should be vegetarian? Yeah, that's it.
That was a good statement, purely based on scientific findings. Based on scientific findings, when you are very young, they say a little bit of consumption of meat is good. But when you grow old, it's not useful. It is harmful actually. So that we should, and then the meat that we consume, the amount of emission of destructive, what they call it, methane gas or something. Greenhouse gas or whatever, methane gas or something. is huge. And we published an article on that also earlier. So there are many environmental health, it is, otherwise also. And your body also will smell, more bad odor by consuming animal. There are a lot of things to say. Then also, like, if you, and it's a question of how much you are able to do. There's no justification for eating meat. And you should not also say that those people who eat meat, they are completely wrong. It should be seen on a larger perspective. There are many people who say, I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat, but फिर वो skin के चमड़े का कोट पहन के जा रहा है, leather के जूते पहन के जा रहा है. Huh? We are born into this world with, negative emotions and karmic, impulses. So we can't be completely free from, not doing anything that is bad. Even if you become so-called completely vegetarian, will you stop eating rice? Will you stop eating गेहूं? ये कहाँ से आता है? From the field. Who does the cultivation of the farm? How many insects are killed? If you look at like this, again, I'm not justifying eating meat, but what I'm saying is see it from a larger perspective. Then at the end of the day, I would say, if you are not able to eat, if you can avoid eating meat, best. Because the meat comes from other animals. If you can't, at least don't justify. Don't justify. And then even vegetarians, they should not justify. I have come across some vegetarians who say that the only good thing that you can do in the world is to become vegetarian. As you said, you become vegetarian, then become Hitler, no problem. It's a good example that you brought forth. Doesn't make sense at all, you see. And then I've also read an article, I don't know where it is now. I did not read it properly, which says vegetarians do the greatest damage. So this is complex area. Okay, last question.
So Geshe, my question pertains to the teachings today. It's a basically clarificatory in nature. So when the text talks about sexual desires, as I understand it, it is basically practicing and thinking in such a way that the sexual attachment, drops on its own, rather than actively suppressing them. So just clarify that.
Exactly.
And another thing is about love and sexual desire. If
Yeah.
you can shed some light on that.
Yeah.
The difference between and how they
Yeah,
work.
love and sexual desire. Sexual urge and sexual desire is a natural thing. You see? So how are you going to express it? That's the question. Just like, unchecked greed is very bad. Similarly, unchecked attachment, desire, everything is bad. Right? And then the purpose of man, women coming together is primarily reproduction. To ensure that the cycle of human being continues. That's the purpose. Now in order to do that, if you do it properly, get married, this is nothing wrong in Buddhism. In Buddhism, we never say you should not have sex. Never say like that. We discourage improper sex called adultery. Right? Now take the example as we already read. If you have sex if you are married and still go with other people's wife, फिर क्या मिलेगा आपको? Then you get fighting. Distress. Hey, I don't have to explanation, you see. Even if other people don't know that, you are guilty, you know. कब पकड़े जाएंगे हमको? You know that. So those are absolutely wrong. So therefore, what is being said is, don't make love a business love. Ordinarily, the so-called love, especially man-women love, is basically business. I love you, and then after that they say, I love you so long as you love me. That is called business. In Buddhism, what is taught is, I love you even if you love me or not. Because I know you are exactly like me, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. इसलिए After all, why you love yourself? You love yourself not because you are a professor, not because you are a Geshe or anything like that. You love yourself because at the end of the day, you want happiness, do not want suffering. That is why you love yourself, you take care of yourself. Similarly, love others. Unconditional love as much as possible. That's of course not easy to cultivate at one go, but that is the desired direction. Developing slowly, slowly, unconditional love. And then respecting that other person, your husband or your wife, respecting that person. And respect and realize that this husband or wife is another human being, thinking, living human being, wanting happiness, not wanting suffering. He or she has her or his own life, and he or she is not my slave. हम लोग तो सोचते हैं ना, husband को थोड़ा is a little bit more powerful, then he tries to control everybody. है ना? Respect is the key thing. Respect, understand, respect their feeling, their need. Don't try to control everybody. उसे नहीं चलेगा, है ना? That's the thing. So as much as possible, unconditional love. And that unconditional love will come only when you see the actual nature of that person. That person is still ordinary human being. That person also is influenced by negative emotions. That person also doesn't have much wisdom and knowledge. So he or she will make mistakes, you know. So understand all this. And the more you are able to see the, vulnerability of that person, just as we take care of our little kids, because we see their sensitivity, their vulnerability. Similarly, see the sensitivity, vulnerability of even the so-called grown-up people, you see. And then there is every room for mutual development. Otherwise, it's like, two persons yoked together to commit suicide. फिर क्या है? कोई फायदा नहीं है ना? It's easier than said, but that's the only way. ठीक है? Okay. Thank you.